shit. Oh, yeah, Stevie B. I got this one. J Fresh Money, KOK, Doomsday. Detroit, we in this bitch.
Wanna hear me rap? Fuck, niggas gotta pay me. I sell work every day, so I'm working out like daily. My young niggas, they stay strapped. Hands off, safety. 35 on the turnaround, got the hood calling me. Got the streets calling me. Got the block calling me. Every time I take a trip, got the hood calling me. Got the streets calling me. Block calling me. Every time I push the rock, got the hood calling me. Got the hood calling me. Fresh money, hell yeah, I run the street. Hell yeah, I get it in. Hell yeah, my niggas in. I'm talking Louis Shades with them Gucci belts. 10,000, I'm true religious. 40 cal, hulking out. Niggas see how I'm living. I keep a 10, that keep a gun. In the streets, I wear a ton. And I don't play no fuck games, cause I'm fuck games ain't where I'm from. All I count is real money. All I count is bill money. Weigh it up, count it out. In the streets, they feel money. Wanna hear me rap? Fuck, niggas gotta pay me. I sell work every day, so I'm working out like daily. My young niggas, they stay strapped. Hands off, safety. 35 on the turnaround, got the hood calling me. Got the streets calling me. Got the block calling me. Every time I take a trip, got the hood calling me. Got the streets calling me. Block calling me. Every time I push the rock, got the hood calling me. It's KP and it's AP. You fuck niggas can't play me. Been killing them tracks lately. Ballin' hard at the 18s. Fuck with us, you sound crazy. Bad bitches mainly. There's no one who can contain me. Me and Tay took like Chain Lee. Stomach hurt cause I am the shit. Because in 30 days I took 30 trips. Got a chopper with extended clip. And if you ain't a king to me, you is a bitch. Eating beats, hell yeah, for practice. Keep it real, no time for acting. Hit the beat like man, what happened? We are kings and you're a captain. Loud in the blunt. Hell yeah, we smoking. Oh Jesus and cookie. Hell yeah, that's we smoking. We going all in while you fuck niggas, you folding. Them 4-5s and them choppers, that's what killers they holding. Wanna hear me rap?
Fuck, niggas gotta pay me. I sell work every day, so I'm working out like daily. My young niggas, they stay strapped. Guns off, safety, get 35 on the turnaround, got the hood calling me, got the streets calling me, block calling me.
Every time I take a trip, got the hood calling me, got the streets calling me, block calling me. Every time I push the rock, got the hood calling me.
Damn, dog, all that motherfucking money you got, nigga, don't you think it's about time you pay me?
Pay you? I don't you shit, nigga. What you talking about?
Oh, man, don't make me slap the black off your ass.
Damn, bro.
Gucci shades and we got Versace. Kings of the kids and J Fresh Money, that's the posse. You can smell the kush when we in our room and you are in the lobby. You think you fucking with the kings? Come try me. This for all my niggas, yeah, who making flips.
We making flips.
This for all my niggas, yeah, who taking trips. Catching feelings, cause my niggas are the shit.
We is the shit.
KOK and J Fresh Money in this bitch. New to the scene, you fuck niggas don't know me. On the track with J.
My name is Jimmy Iovine, and we're in the conference room of my office, Vinyl Cafe and A&M Records, where I'm the chairman, and doing this interview for my friend Herb. The bad news is that it's really tough right now in the music industry, but the good news, there's a lot of, for the same reason, there's a lot of communication, very easy ways to communicate and get your music out to the audience, and there's a lot of great technology and to be able to help you create your music and get it on some form of digital form, you know, so you can upload it to the internet, different sites, or hand out CDs at shows and stuff. But the most important thing is that you learn your craft. Don't get ahead of yourself, you know. First of all, I think it's very, very important that artists today be multifaceted, be able to see their own video or story or make it or film it themselves, make our own website. I mean, you don't have to do that. You know, if you're born Bob Dylan, you don't have to do that. But I think having a wide view of media and everything that's going on is really, really important. It's a real asset. You don't have to do it, but it's a real asset to have. So I would just, but on the other hand, you really have to, if you're in a band, make sure that somebody in the band or a group of the people in the band can write and really write and be very tough on the songs. And if you can't, then likelihood is if the band can't write, then likelihood is maybe you don't have the right combination of guys or girls or whatever. So you know, the song thing is very, very important. And I would also say try to be unique and try to be different. Everybody today, if you put on like alternative radio, the guitars sound exactly the same. You know, it's like a lot of people blame the record companies for that, but it's got nothing to do with the record companies. It's got to do with the lack of imagination that we're going through right now in certain areas of music. And kids think that they're supposed to copy things on television or on the internet, and that's how they're going to get successful. Well, the best way to be successful is to have it influence you or make up your own thing. 100 different ways, wherever it comes from. If it's MySpace or somebody brings in an artist or a friend of another artist, it can come from anywhere. This company's very agile and very light on its feet. And it's not hard to get a record deal here. It's just that the heat has to come with it. It's got to be really, really good, you know, or someone has to believe it's really, really good. Personally, I look for something original, something different, you know, something that is where the songs are there, but the spirit is also there. And to find people that are unique and special. Well, I mean, I believe that people want all the music and they want access to all the music, whether it's download or subscription, you know, and there's also a lot of talk about advertising models or a combination of. But I believe that, I think that people really want access to all the music, be able to have great editorial though. See, right now we don't have any really great editorial in the industry. No one knows what to buy. There's 3 million songs online or whatever it is, and no one knows what to buy. There's no, you know, there's no people helping. There's no sites that are really, really good at explaining music and walking you through it and walking you through those sites. Some of them are very good, but they're also very dry. So I think an environment, the right sort of subscription, for lack of a better word, but where you get all the music and you can pretty much do what you want to do with it. You know, where you get all the music is at your disposal, and you can make lists or trade lists with your friends or different things like that. I think that's going to be. I think that's going to be really important in the next couple of years. CDs are disintegrating, and I've always said this. We have to make more revenues from the work that we do, and we have to increase the opportunities for the artists as well. So when you start out with a new artist, you restructure the way the relationship is, and then when the new model does hit, which should be soon, when we get going on it, I think it's really going to be good. I think that people like service. So I think you'd be selling a service as much as you are anything else. Something that makes things easy for people, easy for a family to get music and wire it through their house or put it in their car, or tells you what to buy, helps you with what to buy rather. So I mean, the CD going away. I mean, we're still at tons of CDs being sold, but we all know where it's going. But it's just a transition into something else, you know. I mean, the sales are down right now, you know. But that's because it's been very hard to figure out a way to make that transition. I think that the record industry has been slow on the uptake for a bit, you know. But it's not as easy as it looks. Well, I believe it's service. I think that we have to, on the actual music side alone, not touring or anything like that, just on the music side, I think we have to really this business was never had a relationship with its customer. It never has. And I think we need to have that now, a direct relationship, and I think that we need to service them. And that will turn the tide of something as simple as that. Let's say we had a subscription service, for lack of a better word, but only this service was in an environment that you could go in and know everything about that artist, things related to that artist, artists that are related to that artist, credible playlists by unique people, all the videos in one place, all this original content, unique content. Like, artists make a lot of records around this place. Feed them, put the music out every month. People are interested in that, you know. So just keep building the service to where it's really good, and I think that'll. I think that's one of the things that can turn the tide. You know, there are many things that are more complicated about all this, but the bottom line to me is get the music, marry it with technology, and make the service incredible. I think they would pay for a service as well if the service was right and good and clean and reasonably priced, or subsidized and priced. You know, it can go a lot of ways. You know, phone companies or, you know, technology companies, hardware companies. There's a lot of ways to do it. And remember, whoever has the content in the end, the unique content, especially music. The reason why music is in trouble on the internet is because it's the best app, because it flows through that thing like water. So that's going to really help the record industry in the end, because if you look at some of these big companies, what they're paying a lot of their bandwidth is like, there's kids watching videos, music videos. So if we make them unique to certain advantage, certain big, you know, cable companies or online companies or technology companies, if we advantage people, it's really going to be very, our license will be very valuable. And, you know, kids may be willing to steal music, but corporations are becoming less and less because they have a lot more to lose. Well, you know, the record industry has for a very long time, really missed the opportunity on advertising. I mean, we're the only people in the world that gives away the content, someone else advertises around it, and we call it promotion. Now that is just naive. It's silly. So these things happening, in the end, will be a good thing, because it's forcing everybody to think like businessmen. Say, okay, what are we doing? How can we give our content away and call it promotion? It's really a silly thing. People that give their music away, usually they're a young band that no one knows. If older musicians get giving their music away, it's usually because no one else even wants to steal it. You know, I mean, you put one out song by that somebody wants on the internet that they want, and everybody in the world will have it in 5 minutes. You don't need to give them away. I mean, if you want to, you can, but that's a fly on an elephant's butt of what the people you reach, you know. Hopefully those people know your music and they like you because they're there, you know, you're touching them somehow. So I don't think that's, I mean, if it's giving it away for advertising, I mean, I don't know, someone's got to pay for it, you know. I mean, unless everybody wants all the music in the world to be free, which is, I guess, communism or something, I don't know. I was one of those guys calling the big record companies a big bad wolf for 18 years as a record producer. What happens is, you make a record, you sit in the studio, and you kill yourself. It is so hard, and you're doing the best you can, and you really think you've created, you know, Sgt. Pepper, when in fact you didn't. The hardest thing for any artist to do, including when I was a record producer, for me to do, was to look in the mirror and say, you know what? it was me. Everybody wants to be Shaggy and says it wasn't me. But the fact is that sometimes it is the record company, and a lot of times it's the artist. But the artist, simply by what they're called, artist, they get a voice like that, and it's a very easy target. My album was great. It wasn't me. It was that building, you know. And you know, what can you do about that? So it's over the years, it's eaten away. Now some of it's valid. In the early days of the record business, people weren't getting paid and all this other stuff, whatever. You know, that's all true, and that carries over as well. Sometimes it is the record company's fault. Sometimes people are just incompetent, you know. But a lot of times it's the music, stupid. Right now, some of these guys in urban pop music and hip hop are brilliant. You know, Pharrell, you know, Timbaland, Dr. Dre, you know, Akon. These guys, all guys are really, Will.i.am, all really talented guys. They do it all. They can write it, produce it, you know, make the drums. They play, you know, they can do it. They could do anything. But I think what a great producer is somebody who is born or real strong combination of natural talent and learned ability to feel what excites and can move popular culture and helps guide people to that end. It's about moving. It's the real goal for all of us is to move popular culture. That's what we're trying to do. Yeah, everybody wants to get paid, and that's very, you know, it's very popular these days. I mean, talking about it, you know. But the fact is, what we're really trying to do is impact popular culture. And when you can do that, it's really rewarding. So a great record producer understands that instinctively and does everything he can to help move the needle. I would learn how to work all the great equipment. I think that's a fabulous thing to have in your whole life, no matter where you go. The fact that I know how to work a console today helps me so much in everything that I do, because I have a feel for electronics. I have a feel for what the stuff does. You know, I just kind of know, you know, when you grow up like that, you know, you should, talk about producers, right?
Yeah.
You should know music. You should learn the piano. You should be able to communicate. You know, if somebody changes the key, you should know, right? And you should hustle and look for talent. And know that it's not a job. It's a passion and a vocation. And you can't do it part-time. I couldn't. Well, I'm hoping that we turn into a major platform, which could look like anything. It could look like a network. It could look like it could look like, you know, iTunes on steroids rather. It could look like anything. But what I'm trying to do is build out that infrastructure to where we can deliver, whether it's, you know, going partners with, you know, older DJs across the country, or just something as simple as, not simple, but building an online presence with one of the social networks or one of our own, where we can just put out entertainment. And Interscope's not going to always, it'll never only put out music. We just don't work like that. We'll make movies, we'll make television shows, we'll do shorts, we'll do direct to telephone. You know, we do a lot of crazy things. I'll sign anybody that's really gifted at almost anything that resembles popular culture. If I met a great artist, painter, sculptor, I back him. That fits right in here as far as I'm concerned. If they have some competency in recording it themselves, or have a friend that has a good knack for it, is get music recorded. It is so easy to get to the public right now. All you have to do is, you know, put a pretty girl on the front page of your MySpace page, and they'll play your song. You know, it's not, that's not literal, but you know, I would do that. I would go out and try to get great live. I mean, music, you mean as an artist, right? I really work on my live thing, because that's really not a lot of, it's really an asset right now, but people don't really work as hard as they should on it. Some people do. Some bands do. You see they get real audiences in certain cities, and they start to build their thing, get on tours, and they really hustle. And, you know, just, that's pretty much what I would do. I'd make my music great. See, that's the whole thing. And, you know, and hopefully you'll have a clear view of what is great and what isn't, because either way you'll be told, and then you'll blame the record company. But it's not. But that's okay. I think, like if you're living in some small town somewhere, we have the internet now. And I'll say it again to maybe use this one. The fact that the internet is hurting the sales of music so much, it is also making it so easy to communicate with people about music. It's so easy. And the record industry has to get itself in the flow. And it will. It will. There's no doubt. But artists, if they really want it right now, they can find out what they've got. You can get out there, like Soulja Boy. We signed Soulja Boy. There's 4 million kids watching his video. 4 million people watch the video. I mean, we'd have to be geniuses to sign Soulja Boy. Online environment in music is so rich, and it's not organized yet, which it will get. And there's a lot of nonsense. People like to hear themselves talk a lot, but I think that, first of all, they absolutely should get, they are being more educated. I can tell you kids that come in here, young kids, they're a completely different brood than 10, 15 years ago. Different kid. I would do a lot of self-contained stuff. You know, I'd get my website really popping, you know, make it real exciting as I could. But I'll tell you, in the way this world is right now, when you've got 6 television shows auditioning 2 million people each around the world, or 10 television, I mean, you got all these record companies, all these people on the internet, you'll get heard. You will get heard. You know? And it's a tough game. A lot of you have to keep your music solid and pure. It's really hard to get through the maze. But just believe in yourself. Whatever it is, there'll be someone who's going to organize it and put it together, and that'll be called a record company. It'll, you know what I mean? It's a matter of you know, who. But I feel good about it because we're doing a lot of different things. We're going in a lot of different areas. We're starting an online magazine with Gwen Stefani, you know, and it's so incredible to work on that with her. It's just really fun, you know. We have a couple of nightclubs with the Pussycat Dolls, you know. So we do a lot of different things, you know. Really, we had the U2 iPod, you know, we were partners in that with them. So we do many things now, and it's really, but it's going to grow from there. The things that we're going to be doing are broader and bigger in scale. I'm trying to find myself, you know, so if that does that, then great. And I'm never settled, you know, about it. I really just keep pushing the barrier to find out where it is, you know, and I'm going to keep pushing. I think it's somewhere about what I was talking about. When we get our platform going, I think it's going to be a good model. And it'll be a good model for whether you're a kid or whether you're a major.
What? Okay.
Gucci shades, and we got Versace. Kings of the kids and J Fresh money, that's the posse. You can smell the kush when you're in our room and you are in the lobby. You think you fucking with the kings, come try me. This for all my niggas, yeah, who making flips. making flips. This is for all my niggas, yeah, who taking trips. Catching feelings, cause my niggas are the shit.
We is the shit.
KOK and J Fresh Money in this bitch. New to the scene, you fuck niggas don't know me. On the track with J Fresh and my nigga Yogi. Got a little money, so I went and bought a rollie. That's some king shit for you broke niggas. Hell yeah, if you don't know me. Hell yeah, we getting it. 100 bands, we splitting it. T gon' doom rip it. Blowing cushion, we sipping. I'm the man with these words, haven't you heard? J Fresh got the city, the kings got the birds. We can't be stopped as it occurred. You high like the roof, but we high like a bird. I'ma keep hitting it fast while I'm blowing this grass and counting this cash. The way we bout to do this beat, it'll be leaving you mad. Get 20 bands for a turnaround. But y'all niggas don't come around. Could fuck with me on your best day. Taking trips the west way. Got a bad chick that's on my side, and all my kings, they down the ride. We come for you, you better hide. If you smart nigga, hide your pride.
Fuck all you niggas.
We did it cause we fucking kings. These niggas, man, we undefeated in the fucking ring. Good Gucci shades, and we got Versace. Kings of the kids and J Fresh Money, that's the posse. You can smell the kush, we in our room and you are in the lobby. You think you fucking with the kings, come try me. This for all my niggas, yeah, who making flips. We making flips. This is for all my niggas, yeah, who taking trips. J Fresh Money, catching feelings, cause my niggas are the shit.
We is the shit.
I'm in the building, and J Fresh Money in this bitch.
Yeah, I'm all about that cream. I'm all about that money, I can see it in my dreams. You can hear it in the voice. The streets leave you no choice. You either get rich, die trying. Start living or start dying. Stop snitching and stop lying. I'm still moving, I'm stop signs. I got mine, stop mine. No shots flying. Keep 40 on that wrist, nigga. That bitch looking like cocaine. See you niggas stay gassed up, but me, I'm sipping that propane. I sold things, sold weed, sold pills, sold dope. But if you ask me if I sold drugs, my answer gon' be hell no. But I got elbows for the LO. 10-5, come get one. You bout that, I'm bout that. You want some, come get some. Real talk, I been one. Real talk, y'all been lost. Diamonds come from Zeman, and I'm still getting them pills off. I'm still getting them pills off. I'm still getting them pills off. Niggas talking that whole shit, but niggas ain't getting no money.
Gucci shades, and we got Versace. Kings of the kids and J Fresh Money, that's the posse. You can smell the kush, we in our room and you are in the lobby. You think you fucking with the kings, come try me. This for all my niggas, yeah, who making flips.
We making flips.
This is for all my niggas, yeah, who taking trips. Catching feelings, cause my niggas are the shit.
We is the shit.
It's Yogi and J Fresh Money in this bitch.
Crown on my head, bitch, like I'm King Arthur. Yogi be the name that's got your girl leaking water. Wearing all gold, bitch, like I'm dressed in armor. Sipping on something that's got me faded like a barber. K-I-N-G, always with a Barbie. Catch us in the club, blowing loud in the VIP. I can tell the way she looking, she don't even know me. I let her come through and she will always remember Yogi. Light up like a Christmas tree, jewelry got me sunny. Being cheap to save it while we playing with this money. King just stepped in, so you better go grab your honey. If we meet, I'll have her stretched out like silly puppy. You better grab your honey, all this gold, she think I'm sunny. Man, I make her roll my weed up, you can smell it from the lobby. Niggas try to copy, when they do it, it looks sloppy. Real recognize real, man, you fake, that's why you doubt me. J Fresh Money, doomsday, we coming for your spot today. You wasn't meant for the top, that's why you falling like a toupee. Detroit is the best city, put your hands up if you feel me. The life you live is hard, be a king, it's easy.
Gucci shades, and we got Versace. Kings of the kids and J Fresh Money, that's the posse. You can smell the kush, we in our room and you are in the lobby. You think you fucking with the kings, come try me. This for all my niggas, yeah, who making flips.
We making flips.
This for all my niggas, yeah, who taking trips. Catching feelings, cause my niggas are the shit.
We is the shit.
KOK and J Fresh Money in this bitch.
Cause they love the way the car smell. Chickens love to ride cause they love the way the car smell. Ladies love to ride cause they love the way the car smell. We getting money off them R sales, yeah.
Asking what it takes to get signed is you know, it's kind of a big question. Certainly in the simplest terms, and you know, I'm often asked what I look for or what, you know, people in my position look for. And as difficult as it is to quantify, and again, because it's a creative endeavor, you don't really know very often what you're looking for until you've come across it. But that being said, I think you can certainly say that, I can say that I look for something that I respond to emotionally on some level. I hope that an artist will, and I look for someone that I think will affect people on some kind of emotional level. It doesn't have to be, necessarily some deep, gut-wrenching kind of emotion or something, but someone that I think will affect people, because that's what, that having an effect on people, I think, emotionally is what, good music does, and gets people invested in something enough to maybe want to go out and buy it, or, have a ongoing relationship with the artist and his music. So I look for that, something that I think is going to speak to me emotionally, something that does speak to me emotionally, and or something that I think is going to speak emotionally to a big group of people. I should say I often come across things that I really like, but I need to think that I work at a major record company. As a result of that, I need to generally work with things that are going to have a big audience. So even if it's something I love, if I think it's going to have maybe even a devoted but a small niche type of audience, I'll, buy the records or whatever myself. That may not be appropriate. So, honestly, I do look for something that has the ability to connect with a large group of people. Very often that means, a commercial side to the artistry, and, very often hit songs. I used to say that it all boils down to two things that you're looking for, stars and songs. So I first time I use the word stars, I look for what I think is, star appeal, star quotient, star quality. Generally want to work with artists who are going to be larger than life in some kind of way. And originality is great. Not always a requisite. Sometimes an artist is not saying something that hasn't been said before. Maybe they're saying it in a little different way. But if you can find something that is original, or at least different from the majority of what's out there at any given time, and you think it can reach a huge number of people, then that's the best kind of artist that you're looking for. I don't think they need to be New York or LA or London, certainly not anymore. The internet's changed the game completely right now, and certainly at this moment in time, probably, one of the best ways to get yourself noticed by people like me is by building up a presence on MySpace or Pure Volume. MySpace, I think, being the ultimate example of the day, of the moment. So you don't need to be in New York or LA. Or I think in any kind of music nowadays, the best way to get yourself to get someone in my position to notice you, to hear your music, and then hopefully to sign you, is to have something going on. It's much easier than it's ever been. Making recordings, home recordings, is now become relatively easy and relatively inexpensive. And frankly, I get lots of demos which are basically master quality nowadays. The old days where you used to worry that, there'd be some great artist, but they'd send in some like crappy, horrible, cassette that you couldn't really hear what was going on, and you missed this amazing artist. I mean, that really doesn't happen anymore. So, I think it's very possible to make a high quality, product now for almost anybody, and then you can do something with that product, whether it's, setting up a MySpace page and figuring out how to start attracting people who will then tell other people, and all of a sudden, there's, you've got 25 or 50 or 75,000 friends, you know what I mean, that are, that are having dialogue back and forth with you, or just commenting on your music and what it means to them. It's certainly possible for, and this is something that's been done for a fairly long period of time, an artist, if you're a band, for example, or a singer-songwriter, get out there in front of people and, have built up a following, at least in your hometown or maybe regionally. Dave Matthews had an incredible following, all throughout the Southeast and so on, that was built up before anybody, outside of that area knew who he was. So that, which is more traditional kind of way, building up a touring base. Selling records, whether it's selling them at shows or, selling them again locally through stores, through the internet, getting radio play. Again, a lot of people are making, master quality recordings now and can actually start getting them played, at least locally. So, I think it's just, kind of so much easier now to make people in my position search you out than it's ever been. So to necessarily want to, I don't really expect to find, artists as nearly as much as I used to through somebody sending me something. Okay, through somebody sending me, just a demo in the mail with a picture. You still get plenty of them, and some of them I like, and some of them I might want to sign, or at least, take a real look at, want to go out and see them play, or whatever it is. But there's a lot of times now when, one way or another, I'm finding out about something, and I'm going and tracking down the music. And I think that's still the best way, especially now when it's much more doable to get something going on your own. And then it's, that also helps in the sense that then, once people start looking at you, you actually have something going on. You have a position of strength to talk to a record company from, because you have accomplished something on your own. Some companies have specific A&R research departments or people who are strictly dedicated to that, whose job is to, go look for the thing that's getting a lot of spins on one or two stations in a town, or, combing MySpace for, whoever's got the most, profile views or friends or whatever. We don't have that kind of really institutionalized. It is a less scientific way, but still, I am on MySpace every day. I usually, get a tip or a hint or something from somebody, to check something out. I'm getting sent links all the time now, which I guess is kind of the new demos, is to just get sent a link to somebody's MySpace page. And then again, I will go on MySpace and check out, at least every week or so, what are the top 10 unsigned things. And you throw out the, the stripper, who's getting 12 million profile views and also says that they're a singer and has, a couple of quote songs on their page, and you get to the artist and you go through it. So I think everybody now, and then I'll hear about something either through a contact in the area or someone else, a lawyer who sussed it out or whatever. I'll hear, oh, by the way, there's this artist. Say it's a rap artist. There's this artist that's selling a ton of stuff out of, mom and pop, indie record stores and, swap meets or whatever, or real stores and scanning records or mixtapes or whatever it is. You know, again, usually the activity will attract somebody. Somebody will pick up on it. Whether an artist needs a quote record label is partly a function of, you know, what kind of artist and what kind of record label. There are plenty of artists now. I think with the consolidation of major record companies, I think there's, you know, tremendous opportunity for independent labels, and I think a lot of artists, you know, might belong on an independent label, you know, which might be smaller, but, you know, and maybe doesn't have the clout to go break a record nationally at radio, but, you know, which can understand that artist's music, can help to market and promote that artist's music, again, especially if it's an artist with kind of a niche kind of thing about the music. You know, very often that's the way to go. Most of the time nowadays with bands, it's better for them to be on an independent before they are on a major. And, you know, most of the, you know, the major systems are aligned with certain indie distribution systems, and they tend to make deals with the labels within their own distribution system to have that capability to, you know, it's upstreaming, which is a big word now in the business, to, you know, take an artist started on an independent label and then, you know, pull it up to the major at the appropriate moment in time. That's not just something which is good for major labels, although it is, because it helps to have like almost a farm team for talent, but it's also usually good for the artists because they don't have immediately upon them when they're first starting out that pressure to sell the huge amount of records. They can develop and build up, you know, through touring and, you know, improve their writing and, you know, their performance and everything. So that's a very common method. But I also think there are artists that don't need the record companies who can, you know, the Amy Manns of the world or whatever, they can sell their music on the, you know, through the internet, you know, have their stuff, you know, sold through whatever it is, CD Baby or, you know, and, you know, again, I think major record companies, which is where I work, Jive is a major record company, and the other companies I've worked at for the last 15, 16 years, even working for Jive for 8 years when Jive was an independent, it still, you know, was aiming to do the things that a major record company does and is really good at. And that's, you know, breaking records to bigger audiences nationally. It's, you know, being able to work a record nationally at a radio format. It's being able to, you know, work a coordinated, you know, retail sales plan across the country and so on. And that really is, those kinds of things are very hard to do, if not impossible to do, without a major record company. But if that is not, you know, if that's not what the artist wants to do, or if that's not the right thing for the artist's music, they may not need a record company and certainly may not need a major. I think it is very important, although not for every artist, but I think it's extremely helpful to most artists to have, you know, an entrepreneurial sense and, you know, to have both an interest and hopefully even a inclination and skill set for things other than, you know, strictly what goes on in the recording studio. You know, to know how to image themselves, to know how to market themselves, to know, you know, who their audience is and to how to reach them. I'll give as an example, you know, there's an artist I'm really interested in right now. Other companies are also really interested in, who's a 17-year-old kid who was in his basement, made recordings in his basement, Now, none of us should even know about this kid. He's from Northern California. He's not LA, New York, or whatever. And what he did was, he's extremely smart and motivated kid. He scammed his way onto the top 10 unsigned artists on Pure Volume. Like literally figured out how to rig the system and get himself onto the top 10. Once he did that, with these songs that he wrote himself and basically produced himself in his bedroom. Once he did that, once he got on the top 10 where people would actually, because there is a ton of stuff out there. It's like you still have to figure out how to get people to pay attention to it, right? It's great to say, oh, I'm putting up a page on MySpace or whatever, but then, there's a lot of stuff. So he got on the top 10, so people would, people went on there, and then once they started to check out his music, then he got a real reaction. And those people started telling other people, and all of a sudden there was a real community that was into this kid. And then this kid, again, was entrepreneurial enough that if one of those people who would communicate with him through that, through Pure Volume or whatever, sent him a message saying, gee, I'd love for you to play in my town. If the town was within driving distance, he'd make that person like his co-promoter for the show. And he'd tell them, you're gonna be my co-promoter. Here's how we do it. Where is there a club that holds, initially, 100 people or whatever he was looking, to do. And have that person, kind of help that person help him to put on a show. This kid didn't even have a band at that time. So he'd just come down on his own, with his guitar and do these shows. This kid is an extreme example of someone who has a very strong entrepreneurial spirit, just like Pete from Fall Out Boy, who has his label now through Fueled by Ramen that has Panic at the Disco as an artist on that label. There are those people who are entrepreneurial and sometimes beyond even themselves as artists. They want to be executives. You have Jay-Z now running Def Jam. It's a new phenomenon, really, that more and more you have artists. It used to be, me artist, you record company. You know what I mean? Those things were not supposed to, we're supposed to be at arm's length. You have, many more artists now, I think, that want to cultivate the entrepreneurial side. And I think it's a good thing, first and foremost for themselves as artists, because, then they don't necessarily have to rely upon other people blindly to do these other things for them. If you can understand something about marketing, you may be able to, it's your music, hopefully you have a better sense than anybody else of how to market it. Maybe you just don't know what the options are. So, becoming interested and involved enables you to be a participant. That being said, there are artists who don't want to know about any of that, who feel that it will completely get in the way of their creativity and their artistic expression being pure. And that's totally fine too, and is completely fine if that's what that artist believes in. But it's interesting to see, for me as someone who's been doing it for a while, to see the entrepreneurial instinct to become become more acceptable as well as more popular. Again, certainly the hip-hop world has been a part of that happening. I think many artists in the hip-hop world are unashamedly interested about, making money and being entrepreneurial to make more money. And, that's one of the ways that I think that the business has changed from maybe 10, 12 years ago, when it was much more common for artists to want to have creative control, but not that concerned about anything else.
took it, then finesse it, but these niggas really work applying pressure. All these broke niggas ain't applying pressure. All these broke bitches always claiming that they claiming that they took it, then finesse it, but these bitches really hurt applying pressure. All these broke bitches hate me, nigga. Applying pressure.
Pressure. Breathe, bitch. Yeah, bitch. This purse costs a couple G's, bitch. Yeah, bitch. Breathe, nigga. Cause your girl pussy needs some ease, nigga. Trust these hoes. They copy my style, they want me to stress. I don't give a fuck cause I'm thumbing through checks. I'm chasing my dreams while you trying to get sex. Breathe. Don't fall under that pressure. I got a couple ounces in the glove department that will have the feds asking questions. But if you get caught never kills, they will have you out in seconds. When you get right, you can hit my line, hit KOD, then we flexing. Flexing, these haters hitting that exit. Cause we getting money and throwing money, applying major pressure.
All these broke niggas always claiming that they work it, that they took it, then finesse it, but these niggas really work applying pressure. All these broke niggas ain't applying pressure. All these broke bitches always claiming that they work it, that they took it, then finesse it, but these bitches really hurt applying pressure. All these broke bitches hate me, nigga. Applying pressure.
The city unlocked, the world on my grind. Watch how I hustle, see how I shine. I'm cold and holding more than most of you niggas I have in all of your life. This chump change, nigga. Blow propane from the dope game, nigga. Hold cocaine from the old days, nigga. Only blow trees, but the shit I serve to the fiends like Colgate, nigga. I'm old school with an old toe. Got the deuce to this tuck. Poker got my 4-5 tape to a thigh. And we in this bitch like, what up? Said that's goon boy with them double K's. And we spray them things off easy. I'm just playing Drake with my hammer shake. And you niggas leaving out wheezy. Said I do it, done it, got it, get it. Watch the way my niggas do it, time for me to roll. Niggas in this bitch and we popping out the bottles. So you niggas looking pissed and you about to hit the dough. Hit the road, don't come back to a nigga ballin'. Said I do this shit for real. All you other rap motherfuckers just talking.
All these broke niggas always claiming that they work it, that they took it, then finesse it, but these niggas really work applying pressure. All these broke niggas ain't applying pressure. All these broke bitches always claiming that they work it, that they took it, then finesse it, but these bitches really hurt applying pressure. All these broke bitches hate me, nigga. Applying pressure.
The story of Andre Young began February 18, 1965 in Compton, California. His humble beginnings fed his ambition.
I came from a poor family, but we made do with what we had.
We didn't have a lot of money. I mean, that's what makes you strive to be what you want to be.
I think the ghetto builds character.
Dre was close to his mom and to his siblings, especially his brother, Tyree.
That was my man. He was kind of like wild, outspoken. When he walked in the room, it was like, okay, turn the music up. It's time to party.
His family's love protected Dre from the violence raging outside.
My vision of Compton was just everybody standing on their porch shooting at each other.
It was rough as far as like gangs and stuff like that.
You know, it's kind of like a war zone in a way. You know, I always remember being on guard a lot as a youngster.
When you're a little kid, Compton is like Watts, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, we going to Compton. We used to have to stay in the house, too. We couldn't even go outside.
And that's with any ghetto. You just have to protect your neck.
We had friends get caught up in that. You know, we had friends get killed because they were dealing drugs or, you know, gangbangers were protecting the territories and they crossed the lines.
I was very aware of the gangs in Compton. I just chose never to get involved with that because people were dying. People are still dying, you know? And for what? Over territory that you don't own? My mother always told me a person that's in a gang usually are cowards or people that can't stand on their own 2 feet and handle things themselves. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I never decided to get involved in that.
His dad wasn't around much, so Dre looked elsewhere for inspiration.
I spent most of my time at a young age listening to music. George Clinton, Bootsy Collins, Quincy Jones, Isaac Hayes. Those were my role models, straight up.
He was given a mixer as a Christmas gift, and in 1980 started making tapes, DJing school dances, and his mom's parties.
Dre was the premier DJ. From the time I known him, he can always get a party going.
And it's so funny, too, because Dre was so shy. And when he was behind those turntables, the turntables spoke for him. You know, that was his voice.
In 1983, Dr. Dre hooked up with a group of DJs called the World Class Wrecking Crew.
You'll rock your party wherever you be. Calling Dr. Dre to surgery.
Though he was only 18, women were drawn to the shy guy behind the surgeon's mask.
Dre had women on the north side, east, and west part of town, and one in the center.
Girls would call my house, 3 o'clock in the morning, looking for Dre.
Hello, Dre. This is Patricia. My husband's out of town, and I was wondering, do you make house calls?
He loved the attention and the little bit of bling-bling that was coming in.
He would go to the mall and buy clothes, buy a whole new outfit, and leave the ones he wore in the store or throw them away. He liked to look like he had more money than what he did.
But by 1986, Dre grew tired of the crew.
Dre wanted to do something harder, and Lonzo wanted it to be a little more polished. Makeup, Temptations-like outfits, dance steps.
A lot of times we get clowned because we had jerry curls and sequin suits and eyeliner.
What I didn't like was the fact that I had no control over anything that was going on because I was the baby of the group. I didn't really have too much say on what the music sounded like.
Yo, man, I don't think they heard you. Why don't you tell them what your name is? My name is Easy, yeah, this is true.
Dre's neighborhood friend, Eazy-E, came to the rescue.
When I left the Wrecking Crew, me and Easy decided to create this label, Ruthless Records. He was going to basically fund it, and I was going to do all the creative work.
My homie Dre is a doctor, not a lawyer. Dope MC employer on Ruthless, and that's my label.
How did Easy have the funding? I'd rather not get into that.
He got the money like most kids get their money off the street.
A few, as you say, pharmaceutical sales.
Rumor has it he sold dope.
There was no time that I questioned where the money was coming from. All I cared about was getting in there, getting that studio time, and getting some records done.
In the future, Dre would be more careful before rushing into business deals. But for now, Dre and Easy combined their talents to form a new group, NWA.
I'm expressing with my full capabilities, and now I'm living in correctional facilities.
They made waves for the graphic depiction of ghetto life.
NWA just said something that everybody always wanted to say, but didn't have the balls to say it or didn't have a microphone.
Without NWA, you wouldn't have Marilyn Manson, you wouldn't have groups like Korn, you wouldn't have Eminem.
They were like the first group to ever say so much on a record that it just made you want to go buy it.
One of those songs, F the Police, expressed what it was like to grow up in Compton.
The police coming straight from the underground. A young got it bad cause I'm brown.
I had a couple of run-ins with cops. I was slammed on a few hoods when it wasn't really called for it.
Searching my car, looking for the product, thinking every is selling narcotics.
The FBI didn't like the message of the song and sent a letter of warning to the group, to little effect.
In our world, police physically touch you. You know, if these, dudes want to just write a letter to try to scare us, man, that ain't gonna work.
Soon, music fans around the country were identifying with the Compton sound, a first for a California rap group.
At the time, it was all East Coast music.
You had Run DMC, they was talking about Queens, KRS, he was out talking about the South Bronx.
South Bronx, the South Bronx.
Everybody was out representing, and we just wanted to represent where we was from.
NWA definitely put Compton on the map, and boom, I have a career.
Chapter 2, in which Dre learns to separate art from life and death.
Tell them what you are. I'm down when I'm stomping. Now tell them where you're from. Coming straight out of Compton. There's a Ice Cube from the gang. Yo, with attitude, with a cord on. I got a off, squeeze a and bodies all hold on.
In the spring of 1989, NWA took their wild live show on the road. They brought the gritty glamour of gangsta rap to the inner city and to the burbs.
I had no idea that suburbia America would be into what I did. I didn't really even know that white people listened to my music until the first NWA concert. We went on tour, and I think we were in Kentucky, and the audience was like 90% white. I was like, whoa.
So went down the show in the front row. I'ma call you a or a dirty ass.
Okay, let's do our thing. I mean, straight up, I don't care. Just buy the ticket, man.
By the time he turned 24, sales of the Straight Outta Compton album and tour made Dre a wealthy man.
When the money was coming in, we was having fun, rolling, as you say.
It's definitely a good feeling to, you know, be able to go and buy some things without having to ask how much they cost. The first thing I bought when I started making money that meant anything was a new car.
Dre like cars. He like spending money. I remember one time he told me, I'm gonna go get this watch. It's $10,000. And I was like, wow. Back then, it was like, wow, you gonna spend $10,000 on a watch?
Well, it's on and on and on and on, yo. The beat don't stop until the break of dawn, yo. Every bitch I know they wanna get with me. The notorious D.R.E.
Yo. All right, beat it. This is part 2 of the Easy and Dr. Dre Wildin' with Food Party. As you can see, everybody's having a good time.
Dre's high roll in life on the road was filled with booze and booty.
It was pretty wild. I mean, matter of fact, almost too wild. Censor is gonna get us.
It was the first time that NWA had been out on tour, you know, and we were some young cats with a lot of money that all the girls like. Imagine the backstage area at that time. It was crazy.
The ladies loved Dre back in the day. You know, I'm sure they still love him now. They scream for him every night.
There was definitely a lot of groupies.
I seen Dre in rare form. Rare form.
Back then, I didn't care why girls wanted to be around me. As long as they wanted to be around. We would have our parties, invite everybody, and just chill. It really didn't matter to me what they wanted or what they were about. I just knew how I was going to respond to them and act when they got around, straight up.
In the early 90s, AIDS was making its mark on the party scene, but the group felt untouchable.
I mean, myself, I love having sex.
I don't know anybody that's gotten AIDS yet, but I don't want to know nobody that catch AIDS.
We were just about partying and, you know, let's hurry up and get to the next city and see what's there.
The fun came to an abrupt end when Dre got an urgent message from home.
We had to stop the tour bus because I was getting 911 pages from home, and that's something that I never get.
We stopped at a truck stop.
They went into a supermarket and called from a payphone. And that's when I was told. They just said, my brother is dead, you know? And I hung the phone up.
And Dre, you know, that kind of shook him, you know what I'm saying?
I'm on the front of the tour bus, and I hear like, I thought I was laughing, so I go to the back of the bus, and Dre's like kneeled over on the couch. He look up, and I see tears in his eyes.
Sammy Sosa could have hit me in the back of the head with a bat, and it couldn't compare to the pain I felt at that moment. You know, it was just, it was crazy.
Tyree was the victim of a senseless act of violence.
He got into it with some guys. I mean, it's that simple in L.A.
We got into a tussle with some guy that was bigger than him. He got pushed or something, hit his head on the concrete, and it just, you know, he really didn't recover from that.
It was like something out of one of Dre's own records, but this was real and hit close to home.
It was definitely a major blow to our family.
I was at the house when they had came and told us, man. I was young. I couldn't believe it. I just started crying, you know. You can't explain, you know, a pain like that.
Dre was overcome with grief, but he kept it to himself. No one could tell what was going on inside him.
We ain't never really talked about it, you know.
I still haven't talked to Dre about it. Dre is more of an internal dude, you know. You won't know what he feel about something, you know. He ain't gonna show you.
He didn't let that affect him. At least, you know, not in our presence. Maybe when he got back to his room, because that's something deep. But in front of the cameras and the crowds, he didn't let that affect him.
I just had to cope with it, you know. It was actually nothing else I can do but cope with it, you know what I'm saying? There was nothing that I could do to bring him back, you know. I just had to deal with it and move on.
This one is for my brother, Tyree, R.I.P.
10 years later, Dre journeyed to a place where he could express his feelings about his brother's death. On The Message, a track he included on 2001, he shared his pain out loud.
Through the music, Dre had the expression on this album right here. You know, it must have been getting to him.
I never really wanted to get that personal on record, and that track was it. It just talked to me. It was like, okay, this is the one right here.
I'm feeling like my whole world is blinded, wondering why, crying, pouring out my heart, pouring out liquor behind it.
Dre's family learned a life lesson on the day Tyree died.
I think it just made the whole family, you know, realize that, you know, when you walk out the door today, you know, it's like you want to say I love you, you know what I'm saying, just in case something happened.
But that didn't really sink in until later. First, Dre had to take care of an urgent business matter. Soon after he rejoined the NWA tour, Ice Cube abruptly left the group.
Cube left NWA because of financial reasons.
Well, I just felt like for what I was contributing to the group, when, you know, the money came in, I wasn't paid right. What you gonna do? You know, it's either you stay there, you f***ed out your money, or you just be like, yo, I'm out of here.
A crack appeared in Dre's cool demeanor. He was angry his friend was putting money before music.
When Cube left the group, I was definitely pissed off, you know, because I didn't understand at the time, you know, how you could leave our group. We were like this at the time. We're all boys. We're cool. How could you leave our group? You know, let's sit down and work it out.
But it could not be worked out. Ice Cube had never signed a contract with NWA and was free to leave. For the first time in Dre's life, his problems stemmed from having money, not needing it.
As hard as you work for your money, there's 100 people out there working just as hard to get it from you, straight up.
A lot of times when we make it as rappers, we get money for the first time and we mishandle it. And we get bad accountants who don't account to us and, you know, give us royalty statements or show us things. So we get, you know, molested because we're boys in the game.
We had no business skills. You know, that was where Dre learned everything right there.
Dre decided that Cube was right, that Jerry Heller, the man Eazy-E brought in to manage NWA's money, was not paying Dre what Dre thought he was owed.
I actually stepped to Eric and I said, look, man, it's either me or him. One of us got to go, you know? It's like if he goes, we can continue doing what we got to do. He chose to keep the manager, so I had to leave.
Eazy-E, you're dropping like a brick, boy. See ya.
Eazy-E was not pleased.
We staying sucker free in 93, so we don't deal with Dre. Dre ain't got no love.
No love?
No love whatsoever.
The two former buddies spent years dissing each other.
All of a sudden, Dr. Dre is the G thing, but on his own album covers, he was a she thing.
He was a puppet on a string doing what somebody told him to do. He's gonna fail in the long run, you know, because he has no talent.
It went on a long time, and E, it hurt. You could tell he didn't like, you know what I'm saying? He didn't like it.
Today, Dre laughs it off as all part of the game.
It wasn't me being angry. It was just funny to me, you know what I'm saying? I just thought it was a funny thing to do.
Sign your life, I mean your name on the contract.
Dre wasn't laughing in 1995, though, when Eric Wright, the infamous Eazy-E, made a shocking announcement.
Actually, when I found out that Eric was sick, it was when he went into the hospital.
Nobody knew. None of us knew. You know, he just looked regular, you know what I mean?
I'm here to read a statement that was prepared by Eazy for the world. I got thousands and thousands of young fans that have to learn about what's real when it comes to AIDS.
I heard it was like all kind of people up at the hospital, like they made it into a circus, like fools trying to shop demos. You know, they wasn't even mourning him. They was up there trying to see who up there, you know. It was hoes up there trying to see what they could get, what kind of money they could get.
Put off by the circus-like atmosphere at the hospital, Dre avoided visiting Eazy. When he finally arrived, it was too late.
When I went to see him, he was unconscious, you know, so I didn't get a chance to talk to him at the hospital. He was there on life support, and it was like a scary, scary sight. I got to say goodbye to him, but he didn't get to say goodbye back.
What's the difference between me and you?
But it wasn't too late to let the world know what he had learned. Like he did for his brother on 2001, Dre once again said his goodbyes out loud, paying public tribute to his fallen comrade.
Sometimes the business end of this shit can turn your friends against you. But I'll never forget the shit you've been through, and I'ma do whatever it takes to convince you. Cause you my die, and Easy, I'm still with you. The beef, I miss you, and that's just being real with you.
Next stop on the journey, Dre joins up with a notorious new business partner. And Death Row shows the world there ain't nothing like a gangsta party.
Dre don't get as high as me. I'm Cheech and Chong.
Chapter 3, in which Dre is the man with the master plan.
In 1992, Dr. Dre teamed up with former football player and bodyguard Suge Knight to create Death Row Records. The new label launched a roster of stars, including Dre's girlfriend at the time, Michelle.
Death Row is gonna be big, huge. We have the best acts coming out. Look at me, like it's my label, really? This is Death Row.
Though Eazy-E had once sued Suge for allegedly using baseball bats to get Dre out of his NWA contract,
All the rumors about the pipes and the bats and all that, it's bullshit.
Dre chose to focus on Suge's more positive qualities.
He was aggressive, and he really seemed like a go-getter to me. Before you know it, I was in the studio recording my Chronic album, and he was helping pave the way for that, and that's all I really care about.
Together, they ruled the charts for 5 years.
It was fun, exciting, and it was cutting edge because we were new and we set standards and trends.
What's my name?
Calvin Brodus, an ex-Crip gang member who was better known as Snoop Doggy Dogg, was Dre's new protege and friend.
Snoop has always been around. Him and my little brother kind of grew up together. I didn't know he was as talented as he was until right before we started working together.
I was kind of shy because he was like my idol back then.
It's just like raw talent, unpolished diamond right there. I knew from the top that I had something.
We ended up making history and making classic records.
The first of those records was the title song from the Deep Cover soundtrack.
Yeah, and yeah, don't stop. Cause it's 187 on an undercover car.
I actually didn't even like the song when we finished it.
It was just something we was doing to get something out, to let people know we were coming. And the effect that it had was, you know, so big, and it really caught us off guard.
Their next collaboration was even bigger.
Hell yeah. I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico when the Chronic album came out.
When I first heard the Chronic, I was at Proof's house.
A place called the Hill District, Pittsburgh, PA, Whiteside Road Projects. I was remember riding around and thinking this is the most incredible shit I've ever heard.
Bow wow wow, yippee yo, yippee yay, doggy dogs definitely in the house. Bow wow wow, yippee yo, yippee yay, Death Row's definitely in the house.
It took me a minute to catch on.
I heard it once. I was like, oh, it's cool. And then one day, you know, it's like all Dre records, you know, one day it just got you and you listening to it all the time.
We just called each other up like, man, do you hear this?
Do you hear this?
Ever since then, man, I was a believer. If you listen sonically to that album and the way that those beats and everything is produced and edited together, I mean, it's amazing. It's a masterpiece.
I heard a lot of hip-hop records, but I never heard production come through the speakers like that in that genre.
For a while, I think everybody was believing that if it's a hip-hop record, it has to sound dirty and it has to sound gritty. I beg to differ, you know. I feel like you can do it, make it sound as clean as a Michael Jackson album, and still be aggressive and still give you that same feeling.
It sounded good. It made you feel good.
Dre got that feeling by doing most of the production work himself.
You see him on the drum machine, he'd get off the drum machine, jump on the keyboard. You see him off the keyboard, he's sitting at the board, EQing on the board.
I'm not a control freak at all, you know. I just like it my way.
He doesn't sing, but he knows how to tell them how he wants them to sing it.
Stranded on Death Row. When I was like, I'm not sagging, but I'm bootlegging, but you don't want to see the D-O-double-G. He made me do it like that tone. I wanted to do it in another tone, and I didn't understand why, but then when it finally came out, I was like, okay, dokie. I'm not sagging, but I'm just sagging, but you don't want to see the D-O-double-G. It made me sound like I could sing, you know what I mean? Notes, things that I don't know about.
It's like this and like that and like this and it's like that and like this and like that and it's like this and we ain't got no love for those.
So just chill till the next episode.
One of my favorite joints on the Chronic was nothing but a G thing.
Come on, people still singing that today, you know? They're gonna sing it 20 years from now. They're gonna say 1, 2, 3 until the 4. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at your door.
Ready to make an entrance, so back on up.
Before I have to pull the strap off the cut.
Cause ain't nothing but a G thing, baby. Two loped out G's, so we crazy.
It's classic. Yeah, that's what they tell me. Everybody tells me that, you know, that album is classic. I think I can do better.
But in 1992, no one could do better, and G-Thang rose to the top of the pop charts. Soon, death row artists were overtaking pop and metal, both on the charts and in the public eye, as the new bad boys of music.
If you open your mouth against me, I will get you. No matter how much time they give me, believe me, I will be free and you will see me. So watch your mouth.
Yeah, we were the bad boys of music and still are. Straight up. That's just the type of music that we like.
A lot of people didn't like the music or the messages behind it.
Negative rap is not all right. Negative rap is not all right.
A young black man should not be allowed to call a woman a female dog. It should not be tolerated.
But Dre saw his records as party soundtracks, not message music.
I don't try to express myself with music. I don't really take it like that serious, you know. I'm not like, you know, Sinead O'Connor or something like that, who in my opinion, takes everything way too serious. I just go in the studio and try to make something that's going to get everybody in the studio's head moving. Something that you can pop in your dash in your car and make you drive fast.
But the gangster rap backlash was in full swing. And in 1995, Dre's record label caved in to the pressure.
When Time Warner dropped Death Row, it bothered me a little bit because it's kind of hard to see something that you work so hard on building just, you know, start to crumble.
What hurt Dre more was the criticism he was getting from black leaders.
Snoop Doggy, Doggy, whatever his name is, calling women bitches, calling women hoes. Little boy can't even spell hoe.
Yeah, that bothered me when prominent black people were protesting the music because we employ, I don't know how many black people that would probably be out doing dirt if they didn't have these jobs. I don't think they were getting the big picture.
That's what friends are for.
But Death Row soon had a new investor, and Dre and his label mates went right back to raking in the cash.
Hey, next year Death Row gonna start printing our own money.
Definitely great to be at a black-owned company and, you know, making a lot of money, just living that life that everybody dreams to live.
Chapter 4, in which Dre learns that peace of mind is worth a pound of gold.
In the early 90s, Dr. Dre firmly established himself as the most influential record producer of his generation.
With a producer who can rap and control the maestro. At the same time, with the dope rhyme that I kick, you know and I know I feel some old funky shit.
I think Dre is the most impactful record producer in history. There were greats like Phil Spector and Sam Phillips. You cannot say that anyone have had more impact musically and socially as Dr. Dre.
Whatever I do, I'm going to do it to the fullest. And I'm going to be the best at it, or I'm going to die trying.
And he almost did. In a series of misadventures beginning with the 1992 fire, he and his house guests escaped just in the nick of time.
We was going to Dre's house for a barbecue, and boy, did we get a barbecue.
The damn house burned down.
It was like flames 50 feet in the air.
The fire did nothing to chill the nonstop partying and out-of-control behavior enjoyed by Dre and his posse.
A lot of fighting. People get crazy, you know, maybe have a 40 too much. But it wasn't nothing like no shooting, no cutting, just pretty much like bar brawl type stuff.
All of which soon led to Dre's next brush with death in 1992.
One of the homegirls that was with the camp was being disrespected by some gentleman, and Dre wasn't having it.
Fight broke out.
Somebody put out a gun.
Shots rung out.
Dre got shot.
I'm hit. That's it.
Dre was like, damn, my legs is burning.
Can you imagine getting shot with a 9mm hollow point bullet?
And he like, ah.
That shit hurts. For real.
They called the ambulance. And when they came, they cut his pants off. And he had like about $2,000 in his pocket. And me and Warren G picked it up. And we brought it back to the hospital. When we could have took the 2 G's because we was not doing well at the time and been splurged up.
Dre actually received a bigger gift that day.
That was like, in my opinion, a straight up wake up call. You know, it's like, slow down, get up out those streets.
Getting thrown in jail was another wake up call for Dre.
With my legal troubles, I was just young and stupid. I look back on it like, what was I doing?
The first big slip-up occurred in 1991 when Dre was arrested for assaulting TV host Dee Barnes, who had just allowed Ice Cube to insult NWA on her show, Pump It Up.
Before I knew it, he grabbed me by my hair, picked me up, and started slamming me into a brick wall. Meanwhile, I'm all disoriented, and I'm like, oh man, I can't believe Dre is doing this to me.
Later convicted on additional assault charges, Dre was hit with fines, probation, and in May of 1992, a 60-day house arrest.
Girl, I'll house you. Girl, I'll house you. You in my hut now.
House arrest is where you're pretty much in jail, but you're in your house, and they put this little device around your ankle, and you can't be more than 100 feet away from your telephone. I thought it was gonna be cool, I stay in the house. All I gotta do is have parties all the time. I got my studio here. I can work. I can party. But after a while, those walls start closing in on you, and it's like, I gotta get up out of here. It does become jail.
Welcome to Death Row.
The turning point came in '94 when Dre took his $200,000 Ferrari out for a high-speed joyride. Dr. Dre was pulled over for doing 90 and for failing an alcohol test. In violation of his probation, he was sentenced to 8 months in jail. The man who was always in control was losing his grip on life.
At times like that, I just have to step out of myself and look at myself and ask a question, like, what are you doing? And what are you gonna do? Fortunately, I had an answer, and it was a good one. Get your shit together.
Spending that time in jail really cleared Dre's head on what life is about. He realized that he wasn't invincible. No matter how many records he sold, no matter how much money he got.
Dre checked his drinking.
I never make an important decision when I've had anything to drink. That's strictly for partying.
And got his life together.
All in all, I think it was a blessing in disguise, straight up.
Meanwhile, his buddy Snoop was having his own legal troubles. Snoop was tried.
We, the jury, in above entitled action, find the defendant not guilty of the crime.
And acquitted for murder in 1996, while Dre was laying low trying to make sense out of what was happening to his record company.
They blew up so fast. All that happened like in 2 years. There was a lot of money. They was doing their thing.
Now it's 95 and they clock me and watch me diamond shining, looking like a Rob Liberace.
I mean, when you give money to a group of people that never dealt with money, it's almost like throwing steaks to lions that never had steak before.
Death Row was, in fact, a lion's den with a well-earned gangster rep.
Once again, the mighty Death Row organization committing mass murder.
There were rumors that the company's employees, many of whom were former gang members, used violence and intimidation as an everyday way of doing business.
The safety hazards hanging around the Death Row environment.
I would say a good one time a week you see somebody get their ass whooped.
It was a pressure cooker. It could have just went at any time.
And I've never been to Death Row Studios without my gun. Never knew what to expect.
By all accounts, Dre kept his focus on the music and distanced himself from the violence said to be happening frequently behind the scenes.
Where ass whoopings was going, Dre didn't want to be a part of that. Dre worked way over here somewhere with his own soft little crew, doing his own little thing. He didn't want to be a part of that.
But as co-owner and president of the company, Dre was accountable whether he liked it or not. And after doing some hard thinking in prison, Dre determined that he didn't like where Death Row was going.
You put out negative energy, it's going to come back to you, period. Live by the gun, die by the gun.
Dre concluded that at Death Row, creative control and financial freedom came at too great a cost, his conscience and his peace of mind.
It just stopped being fun, and this whole thing is supposed to be fun. That's what I always dreamed about doing something that I can have fun at and make money at it, make a living.
What you gonna do when you grow up and have to face responsibility?
I had to get up and out.
In March of 1996, he left the label, telling his closest friends first in the privacy of his home.
I had like everybody that I wanted to continue to be a part of my life come to my house.
And he goes, I just want everybody to know that I'm leaving Death Row. The whole room was like, what?
When Dre left, I was shocked.
It was a big surprise.
Everybody was pretty happy.
I went into a state of panic.
There wasn't a sad face in that house.
It was a depressing period for me because the public really didn't want to hear me without Dre because they were so used to hearing me with Dre.
Death Row ain't without Dr. Dre.
Dre faced the tough task of extricating himself from his business partnership with Suge, which he did at a financial loss.
When you separate yourself from somebody in this business, it's almost like a divorce.
If Dre choose to go ahead and start a new production company, yeah, my blessing. So be it. So be it, but Dre didn't get zero from Death Row to go move forward.
When it came to money, Dr. Dre had taken a long journey, longer than just his trip out of the ghetto. He had come from having no money to having it all, from learning how to build on what he earned to knowing when it was time to take his money and walk away.
I think the creative freedom and the room to breathe and to call your own shots is more important than money. You know, Dre left Death Row, and many people say, well, he's leaving with nothing. He left with everything.
I didn't leave broke, you know what I'm saying? I did leave with money. I didn't leave with what I was supposed to, but I left with something that was a lot more valuable, peace of mind. And you can't put a dollar sign on that.
On the final journey stop, Dre takes control of his life.
My motivation to keep going is strictly this. I cannot let you win if you're trying to stop me at what I'm trying to do.
Chapter 5, in which Dre discovers his greater later.
5 months after he left Death Row, Dr. Dre received one of the greatest shocks of his life. His former label mate, Tupac Shakur, who'd been riding in the passenger seat of Suge Knight's BMW, was shot and killed by a passing gunman.
I could have very easily have been in that car in Las Vegas. Fortunately for me, I left at the time that I did.
In response, Dre beefed up his own security.
Security is a must. Tupac and Biggie are the perfect examples of that. If they would have had it all together as far as security goes, maybe they would still be here today. I feel a little different about cops today than I did then. That show Cops that comes on TV really made me realize that we do need police in a major way, straight up.
He also downsized his crew to a few close associates.
The people you surround yourself with can be either the rise or the fall of your career. You have to surround yourself with positive people that have your best interests at heart.
And when he launched his new record company, Aftermath Entertainment, he did it on his own.
Right now, I feel like I'm on top of the world because it's just me. There's no partnerships. If it fails, it's on me. If it works, it's on me. And I couldn't feel better.
His first release was a commercially disappointing '96 Aftermath album on which he tried to retreat from the negativity of gangster rap.
Getting out of Death Row, I was trying to distance myself from that type of music for a while. That's why I made the song Been There, Done That.
I've been there, done that. You got guns, yo, I got straps. A million on the planet Earth talk that hard bullshit, cause that's all they worth.
The critics and fans weren't buying it though, and Dre was bummed.
He really wasn't showing his depression, but you gotta fall down in order to get up. And you know, the hard fall made for a tough get up.
I just wanted to try something different for a minute, and it wasn't working for me. I have to do what I know how to do and do what I do best, and that's just hardcore hip-hop.
One of the ways Dre found his way home, back to hardcore hip-hop, was through an unlikely protege he found on a demo tape.
Hi, my name is what? My name is Slim Shady.
Apparently he didn't know that I was white.
It's like, what? That is crazy.
The two studio perfectionists fed off each other. Dre gave Eminem someone to impress.
My whole intention on the Slim Shady LP was to get a reaction from Dre.
Mr. Dre, Mr. NWA, Mr. AK, coming straight out of Compton, y'all better make way. What you say?
Dre thinks it's funny.
I have to let every artist be them. You know what I'm saying? I can't censor anything that they're going to say. If there was somebody censoring me when I started, I probably wouldn't be here today.
Eminem took it a step further on his follow-up album.
I think I killed Dre twice on this record.
And Dr. Dre said, nothing, you idiots. Dr. Dre's dead. He's locked in my basement.
The first time I killed Dre on the record, it was cool. The second time, he was like, hey, I ain't gonna be dying no more on these records.
I'll kill you, you little... temper.
What Eminem gave Dre was inspiration to go hardcore again. But first, he needed one more approval.
He calls no shots at home. He just lives there. At home, he's Pop. You know, he's not Dr. Dre, he's Pop. hip-hop.
When Dre met Nicole back in 1994, he was still living the Playboy hip-hop lifestyle.
I wasn't out looking for love or looking for the right person or anything like that. It just happened.
We met at a nightclub in LA. I was just walking by, and someone did a little pinch on my arm. And he just stood there and looked at me with this cocky look on his face and asked me for my phone number. I gave him the craziest look and said no.
But Dre pursued, and they got married in Hawaii in 1996.
My wifey, make my life complete, sweet.
Boom. There you have it.
Marriage was a big change for Dre.
Children change your life. And to see him evolve into a family person, it's beautiful.
Before we used to be like, hell yeah, we off stage, we going to the after party, let's go bust us some hoes, and we don't even think like that no more.
But with family responsibilities came a guilty conscience. Could Dre rock the hard stuff and still respect his wife?
I just got married, and I really was feeling funny about saying bitch and hoe and things of that nature.
Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.
Ironically, it was Nicole who encouraged him to return to his roots.
It's an image. It's a job. He was doing some stuff, and I was like, it was good, but it wasn't Dre.
She kind of motivated me into going back to doing what I do.
Maybe you should, start saying all that crazy stuff again.
So I'm like, okay.
Of course, she wasn't about letting him bring the gangster persona home with him.
How would she react if I called her a hoe or a bitch? I couldn't even, picture myself doing that straight up at all.
Never.
Never.
Dre soon set about making 2001. He knew he had something to prove.
There was so much talk going on that, I didn't have it anymore and I couldn't produce a hit record anymore.
Y'all better listen up closely. All you said that I turn pop or the firm flop. Y'all are the reason that Dre ain't been getting no sleep, so y'all.
A lot of people criticize Dr. Dre and try to, close his casket.
I definitely went in the studio with let me prove everybody wrong in mind, and I think I succeeded.
What's up, New York? Guess who's back?
2001 was released in November 1999 and has since sold more than 5.5 million copies. The critics have been silent.
They wanna know if you still got it. They say raps change. They wanna know how I feel about it. You ain't up on things. Dr. Dre is the name. I'm ahead of my game. Still the beast bang. Still doing my thing. Since I left, ain't too much change.
Last summer, Dre took his crew out on the Up in Smoke tour, the most successful hip-hop tour ever.
It's D.R.E. You know I'm mobbing with the D.O.G. Straight off the streets of CPC.
Dre get love everywhere we go, man. Dre get smiles and handshakes, man. He also get a lot of family members he never met, man.
On tour, everyone is part of the family. Dre has left the fear and intimidation of death row days behind him.
We do a prayer every night out here on tour. Everybody hug, and we get into a circle together, and we pray that we all stay safe together as a family.
And even though his own brother Tyree is very much with him,
always with me. That's my little bird right here, you know what I'm saying?
Dre serves as a brother and mentor to many of his closest friends.
Dre is kind of like a big brother to me.
Sometimes I feel like a little brother to him.
I've been in the business a lot longer than they have, so I think I have a lot of positive advice to offer to them. I know for a fact there's a lot of people out there that I inspire and I motivate, and I love that.
Dr. Dre is convinced that hardcore hip-hop is his calling, maybe even a spiritual quest.
I do believe life is a journey. I do believe everybody was put on this planet for a purpose. I think the reason that I was put here was to entertain people with my music.
One of his several mottos is, it's greater later. And I never looked at things like that until I met him. And it's so true. As the years go by, it's greater.
Dre has learned from his journey and now enjoys all the money he wants and peace of mind. He is honored for his past and looks forward to the future.
I think me and Dr. Dre gonna be like, who was it, Walter Malfoy and Jack Lemmon? They grew old together, didn't they?
I can definitely picture me and Snoop being like 50 and 60 years old, kicking it.
I see me with gray braids and us in a wheelchair with rims on the wheelchair, rolling down the street, smoking, sipping on hen and juice.
That's a nice goal. I think I'm gonna shoot for that.
That's what me and Dre gonna be doing in the year 2040 at the Rap Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for rap pioneers Dr. Dre and Snoop Doggy Dogg in their 50th anniversary of Still a G Thing. Come out there with my cane. 1, 2, 3 into the 4. Oh hell, Dre, they know it.
It's good when you get that paper money. Shake fresh money. So get your paper. Cause I'm most definitely gonna get mine. If you niggas can know how I feel right here, right now, I'm talking right here, right now. Shit, you'll feel like you're on top of the world. Come on, let's get it. Rolling through traffic, fresh as I wanna be. Fresh as I wanna be. I'm fresh as I wanna be. Rolling through traffic, fresh as I wanna be. Fresh as I wanna be. I'm fresh as I wanna be. Rolling through traffic, fresh as I wanna be. We the real hustlers, all you other cats wanna be. Big chain shining, city boys grinding. Don't forget your money while you other cats lying. You niggas is some lies. I hear you talking, but I don't see that you're a tie. You say you got it.
something.
Jay had the talent to be somebody.
Practice, never reenact this. The simple fact is I'm real good at this.
They chased one goal relentlessly.
He always knew what he wanted to do, and he always knew that he could do it better than everybody else that was out there.
Through struggles,
he was gonna do whatever was keeping food on his table.
He felt getting that street money was his true calling.
And setbacks.
People didn't get his rhyme flow, didn't get his style.
Jay
couldn't get a deal.
Bottom line, some people are just driven. A Brooklyn hustler's defiant pursuit of superstardom.
At that time, it wasn't no strategy, man. It was just straight guerrilla pimp.
Jay was just like, if you don't want to let me in, I'm going to let myself in.
Never before seen images, stories, and revelations from the people who know what really happened.
When you see the bad side of the industry, sometimes you're like, I ain't going through that.
He was like, maybe I can't do this. You know, maybe I'm not good enough to do this.
Because they lived it with him.
Jay living proof of what you could become. That all people from the ghetto do have a chance.
Sean was born December the 4th, 1969. We lived with our grandmother in a brownstone.
We lived at 615 Lexington Avenue.
I remember my mother bringing him home. He was 10 pounds. I never saw a baby that big.
He was a normal child, happy-go-lucky.
Jay's my cousin. Our mothers and sisters. I ain't have no brother, so he's like my brother.
We used to have Sunday dinners together. Oh boy, we would have big dinners.
Compared to my house, Jay's house was like freedom. And they had all the music and the parties and everything.
Jay always loved music.
They had the illest record collection.
My mother and father kept crates of music in our house. Earth, Wind and Fire.
The Ohio Players.
The Whispers. The Temptations. Every time my mother would put on Enjoy Yourself by the Jackson 5, he would dance and sing and spin around and just do the Michael Jackson dances. He had us behind him. He was the little ham, and we was his like backup singers. We moved in 75.
They got an apartment in the Marcy Projects.
That was the first time we ever was in a project.
We living in the same building, living on the 5th floor, living on the 3rd floor.
It was just, you know, we was all just regular kids, you know.
We would just basically just sit on the bench, play dice or stuff like that.
Play basketball in the bag.
He's one of the best in the hood.
Sometimes he was the best, sometimes it was other kids that beat him.
You always want to be number one. You always had to be the best at everything.
So he would just come back and challenge them again. My mother always told us to try to do our best in everything or anything that we wanted to do. She always gave us that drive. School was the most important thing to her. He was a very bright kid.
Jay was always in the top class.
Jay was real good in math. English too, because he's good with words.
Yeah. When we was coming up, it was really the beginning of, you know, the violence.
Every lunch hour there were 4 or 5 fistfights.
That's when crack came out. That's when it was real bad out there.
This is really when the guns started to come into play.
I remember once asking the kids, have any of you ever seen a gun?
Gun blazing was a regular thing in our project.
You know, kids would say they woke up to gunshots.
You had to learn how to duck, know where to be at the right time, and just survive.
Marcy raised me, and whether right or wrong, streets gave me all I write in this song.
Marcy was probably the best schooling that we could have for us dealing with this world that we live in.
You had to teach your kids how to survive in there.
Parents have close holds on you because they don't want nothing to happen to you.
Jay was the baby. So him and my father did a lot of stuff together. There was times they would just walk, and he would walk behind and go ahead, find your way home. He was teaching him how to be a man. My father, he left when Jay was 11 years old. That really hurt him because they had a relationship. They kind of closed down for a minute. He got real quiet.
I remember a sadness about Sean Carter. There was a neediness about him.
See, my moms could teach us because we was girls. But with a little boy, it's kind of different.
Jay started writing down lyrics.
It was something that Jay needed to, like, express, vent about. He was writing it and talking about it. He was getting it out of him, so it made it better.
He used to scribble. You couldn't even understand what he was writing. It was like chicken scratch.
He would write it down so little that nobody else could actually understand what he was writing, so nobody would take his rhymes.
You look at his book when he go out the room, you're like, what is this, hieroglyphics or something?
That was his thing.
He would sit at the table, he would write the rhyme, and he'll make a beat up and he'll just say it, and then no, that ain't right, and he'll rewrite it until he felt that it was right.
He always worked on his flow every day. Just look inside the mirror and just practice his rhyme flow. Like zone out everything and be rhyming to himself, hearing music inside his head.
Late at night, when everyone was sleeping, you would just hear him banging on the table and mumbling. We used to get up and be like, Sean, everybody is asleep. You ain't ready to go to bed yet? No, I gotta get this down. I gotta get this down.
Yeah, he would get on the table with a fork and a spoon or something, and he would be beating away.
Then my mother went out and brought him a bebox. At that time, it's like a machine that makes all kinds of sounds, and that's when we wanted to kill her. He listened to Run DMC, Curtis Blow.
He was the first one around the projects with a Doug Fresh and Slick Rick tape. And we was listening to that tape all day long.
You'll keep hearing him rewinding it and playing it, rewinding it and playing it until he actually knew what that person was saying.
And then he's reading a lot. Anything he can get his hand on, he'll read. Like all different dictionaries and everything. He studied dictionaries.
It was this dictionary that had all kinds of words that rhyme with each other.
His lyrics was crazy. He had so much flow, like he could just kill it, man.
This cat Slate from the projects was calling him Jazzy, and then he just dropped other letters and just fit Jay-Z.
Well, check out the J, check out the A, check out the Y, Z, original rap, I'm making this flat.
He had a different style of rap.
Practice, never reenact this. The simple fact is I'm real good at this.
He was more like a fast tongue rapper, the diggity, like that type of style.
This ticket style is making the mind and jiggy jazz. You know what I'm talking about, or where I'm going too fast. Here's the warning, you might want to get gas. There's only one for 90 miles and my stop's the last.
He was rhyming real fast, but you can still understand them.
Guys come around like wanting to rap, blah, blah. We always go get Jay and let Jay rap against him.
You always hear about him somewhere in the projects battling somebody or at somebody high school battling them.
So come on and see me run rhymes. If you're lucky, I'll let you beat me one time. You get with me, more Mitchie than Frankenstein. Yeah, boy, stop yanking mine.
Everybody used to look up to Jazz because he was the only guy from around the way that was getting recognition from rhymers.
Jazz lived on the other side of the projects from us. I think somebody introduced him and Jay together, and they both was interested in music at the time.
Him and Jay just got together writing rhymes, exchanging rhyme styles.
Jazz was the older guy. He took Jay under his wing.
Jazz was schooling him. Everywhere he went, Jay was by his side.
Jazz was one of the first MCs to even have a major deal with a major label.
Jay was actually on Jazz's first single.
My name is Jazz, and my partner Jay.
And Jay appeared in the video.
And that kind of introduced Jay to the world.
Made by the sunshine and the seas of pearls, banned by the fair-skinned beautiful girl.
Jay-Z came flying down from the ceiling on a rope.
Yeah, I saw it.
It was funny, man.
Working so true indeed.
Yeah, that was like his first video.
Everybody was excited about it because there was somebody that we knew that was making a record that had a video.
If that album takes off, then Jay's in the game.
But that record didn't do too bad.
They tried to promote Jazz, you know, this big guy from Marcy, like Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, but that ain't him. This lets you know how stupid the industry people are. This guy's from the hood, like the hood. That's like taking a tiger and telling the tiger, you're a rabbit now. That's what I think Jay had to really sit back and realize, like, whoa, what am I getting myself into? What he's seen with Jazz is the bad side of the industry.
That taught him to be more aware, and that some record companies are shady.
And when you see the bad side of the industry, sometimes you like, I ain't going through that. And that's when he didn't really want to do it no more. He didn't really want to rap.
Jay's career didn't really take off the way it was supposed to. So, you know, Jay was resourceful.
He needed some money. He had to go out and do his thing, you know what I'm saying?
Look around you. There's a million guys in the street that was hustling.
What ended up happening is he dropped out of high school. It did not make sense to sit in a classroom when you could be making thousands of dollars a day.
Like anyone else that's on the project, he wanted to get out. He wanted to get his family out.
He was gonna do whatever was keeping food on his table. I guess at the time, rap wasn't.
Jay did give it up for a minute, but music was always a part of him. His drive was always there. Like, he always knew what he wanted to do, and he always knew that he could do it better than everybody else that was out there. No doubt.
He never stopped rapping. He always kept rapping.
Jay was looking for a stepping stone to get to what he really wanted to do, which become his own artist and to make music. Give it to me.
Jay, like a lot of Brooklyn MCs, really looked up to Kane.
Big Daddy Kane is a legend of the whole hip-hop world. He paved the way for a lot of artists.
Kane met Jay-Z about late 89, early 90.
Give it to me.
And there's this legendary night where he, like, destroyed Kane at this club during this freestyle battle. And that was a big deal.
Once he met him, and Kane was like real enthusiastic about working with Jay-Z, and they recorded like a demo together. And I remember Kane just playing it over and over again, saying, "Yo, dude got a hot voice."
I buck wild with style, sit out. I'm ripping and running 100 miles, I'm well endowed.
Big Daddy Kane took him under his wing.
Jay-Z was kind of like Kane's protege at one point, and so Kane asked Jay to tour with him.
Jay was hype about that. He was real proud. Like, I'm going on tour with Big Daddy. Yeah, he really loved that.
So Kane would just bring this guy on. At that time, nobody knew who he was. There was no reaction, you know, the crickets, nobody saying nothing. And then he gets on and I kick a beat. And then the crowd is just like mesmerized by his rhyming. Jay was hoping that the experience of performing with Kane would eventually land him a record deal, but people really didn't get what he was trying to do, and didn't get his rhyme flow, didn't get his style.
It's frustrating when you want to do something so bad you can't do it.
He was like, maybe I can't do this. You know, maybe I'm not good enough to do this.
So he stepped back from the game and went to the streets to get money.
Jay a hustler, you know what I'm saying? From the start, he a hustler first.
But other people around you know your talent, so they're like, yo, you can't quit.
B-High kept getting on his case. B-High was like, come on, you got the talent, man. You just can't let your talent be wasted.
I was like, yo, no one's better than you. He's like, yeah, whatever. You're making money. You can't tell a man stop doing what you're doing.
B-High and, you know, Clark Kent always telling him that he was basically wasting his time hustling.
Clark was on him all the time. Yo, you gotta rhyme, you gotta rhyme. So one day I just got on the phone with him, and honestly, I begged and I pleaded.
Clark Kent was an influence on making him realize that it could really happen.
I guess I made him believe it. Or maybe he just knew inside that he always was that good, but he just was like, all right, we'll give it a shot.
The goal was to get Jay-Z a deal.
I was trying to get him signed the old-fashioned way, make records and show everybody the records.
They had so many songs. He was always a hard worker when it came to music.
He would come to my house to do songs. The beat would come on, and he'd just sit around and listen to it 15, 20 minutes, and then he'd be like, come on, let's go. And we'd do a whole song, and I'd be in dumbfounded.
You had the mouthpiece, you had the lyrics, you had the determination. How could you not want to sign that? But Jay couldn't get a deal, bottom line.
That was one of the most hurtful periods in my life, going to all of these A&R meetings with this music, with this guy who is unbelievable, and people are going, I don't get it.
All he really needed was somebody to be all over the record companies, you know, that don't take no for an answer kind of individual.
And then Clark introduced Jay to Dame.
I was like, I'm gonna get my guy Damon Dash. I'm gonna get him to manage you.
Clark told Dame, I got this kid from Brooklyn. That's the best rapper you're gonna ever hear.
Clark told me to meet him in Brooklyn. You know, Brooklyn, you thought gold teeth, felines, guns, and thievery.
Damon's from Harlem. Harlem is all about flossing, flashy.
And they looked at us as grimy Brooklyn dudes, so all we want to do is steal and rob.
Harlem's always making it, Brooklyn's always taking it. But I went to Brooklyn, and I met him, and but when I got there, he kind of acted like a Harlem dude. He had Nike Airs on. So from there, kind of like, oh, he's a cool cat. I felt like we were cut from the same cloth.
Damon and Jay just clicked. Like they was two twin brothers in the afterlife or something, you know what I mean?
Once Dame and Jay-Z got together, I think it was just a collaboration of ideas and dreams that they both had.
Dame was like, yo, if you with it, I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be behind you 100%.
Dame took over from the business aspect. from that point.
He used to set up all kinds of things for Jay-Z.
Yo, this is Jesse Barnes, Underground Rough House. We are in the house. We got my man Jay-Z.
Enticing when slicing through tracks. You're screaming Jesus Christ is back and God knows he can rap. Me and Jazz put rhythm on the map, so give him his dab. And me, I just take mine. Give me those, give me this, give me that.
We used to just, you know, travel all around the city just battling. Went to the Bronx one gloomy night and battled DMX in the pool hall.
And he said some rhyme like, my money dance on the ceiling, like nobody's never really heard it like that before.
He was a local sensation. Like, people didn't want to be on stage against him. Every time he rapped, it was like something vicious was going to come out of his mouth.
You just knew something special was going to happen.
I had signed a group called Original Flavor.
Original Flavor was me, my partner Tone Hooker, and Chubby Chub, the DJ.
Original Flavor had a single called Can I Get Open?
We went to the studio, Jay came. Damon was like, yo, why don't you put Jay on it? We was like, hell yeah, let's put him on it.
Jay's about to show it. Well, can I? It's never a question of how, but when I rip it.
That single, it was hot.
It did real well. We did a lot of shows off that song.
We just go up and down the region, Carolinas, Boston.
Everywhere Original Flavor went, Jay went.
I was noticing that, you know, the response to him, you know, when he would come out and do his verse, people would go crazy. He wasn't even the star of the show, you know what I mean? But he would take the show.
We thought Original Flavor was going to open the door for everybody.
We definitely had a vibe in the street, but it didn't really go too far.
Atlantic Records, which Original Flavor was on, wasn't really doing what they were supposed to be doing in marketing.
Damon was tired of arguing with Atlantic Records about how to promote hip-hop.
And after that, I started shopping Jay's demo around.
I seen so many record execs from so many different labels come up to Jay and Damon like, yo, we want to sign him. Let's do it. But for some reason, when the paperwork got back to people, it was like they're trying to shaft us.
Like, it was just always something. Like, they liked it, but they didn't like it.
All the record companies, they really couldn't see the vision.
And they'd be putting us on hold and putting us on ice.
Dane was crazy hungry. Like, you know, somebody just wanted it. He wanted it bad.
He really believed in Jay. He knew the same thing we all knew, that Jay was going to be hot.
I think it pushed Jay harder. He's not the type of person that's going to just give up. And Dame got the same personality as Jay. And together, you know, I think they was like, yo, we're going to do it ourselves.
Jay was trying to put out his own records, but labels weren't signing them.
They was trying to get deals and the doors get slammed. So after a while, I was like, yo, we could just do this ourselves. If I know how to market and we make more money, you know what I mean, let's just press up some vinyl, shoot a vid, and see where it goes. Yeah. Create some energy.
I
Can't Get With That turns out to be the first record that they put out.
We shot a video for like $5,000.
Our budget came in a paper bag with a bunch of 5s and 10s rolled up.
They shot it. They shot all of that with their own money.
So it was a labor of love.
Jay did that video in Marcy Projects.
He wanted to shoot in Marcy Projects because that's where he was from.
That video was crazy. Marcy's pretty rough, you know, so to see that was kind of monumental.
1994 and forever.
We had the whole city bubbling, just the city, you know what I mean?
It wasn't like they had a set plan.
Jay just had a good work ethic. We were constantly making records.
It was like, okay, we got another record, let's put that out.
So then we did vinyl for In My Lifetime.
In my lifetime, I need to see a whole lot of dough.
In My Lifetime was basically a song that was talking about all the street experiences that he went through at that particular time. Getting money, hustling.
I'm out here trying to make a meal, my thing is real for real.
So we went out to St. Thomas and shot a video.
In my lifetime, I need to see a whole lot of stash. I need a whole lot of cash.
There was all type of girls, water, yachts.
Dane went downtown, him and Jay, to John Street, found an office space. Had somebody come paint the hallways up. We thought it was so hot, like marble walls.
We would come to work, and I was feeling my executiveness, but it was wild, you know, because we were still kind of rough around the edges.
We had roaches in the water cooler, mice running around, no air conditioning. They were clearly rats.
You had your dice games in the corner.
When you looked in, you couldn't believe work was going on in there. We had no furniture. Things that they thought to get for the office were a leather couch and a big screen TV. The things that the people needed to work, like a desk, a computer, you know, those things came like later. None of the bosses, Damon, Jay, or Biggs, had ever had jobs. So it was just pretty much hands-on, learning as you go. You would be leaving at like 1 o'clock to go get something to eat, and they were like, where you going? And we were like, lunch, hello, there's things called lunch breaks people have in real jobs. And they'd be like, oh, all right. So it was just really crazy and really unprofessional, but still the work got done.
Tone Hooker. My partner Tone Hooker thought of that name, Rockefeller.
Like, it means everything. We took a white person's name and we made it a black person's name.
You know, when you think of Rockefeller, you think of prestige, but if you really critique it, it's like Rockefeller, so you mess with us, you may get hurt.
We're gonna carry ourselves like rock stars, because we're the Rockefellers.
You look large to be large. That was the whole motto right there from the jump.
We had all the Jay-Z jackets on, and we had the biggest limousine, and we got the license plates that say Jay-Z.
We just did anything to make noise, anything to get some attention. If someone had a show, we would just bum rush the show. Jay's just start rhyming, kill it, shut the show down. He had a song called Coming of Age when he throws out a stack. It's a stack in the crowd. After the show, it was nothing but talk. I don't know what this Jay-Z deal is, but he got money. He must throw like $10,000 in the crowd.
I mean, money respect money.
Jay had the look, he had the jewelry, he had the money, and it didn't look like he was just talking about it. It looked like he was really, really, really living it.
He was just the picture-perfect hustler's hustler. Like, people saw him and wanted to be him. People saw what he had on, wanted to buy that. People saw what he drank, wanted to drink that. We're drinking Cristal, and then all of a sudden, everybody started drinking Cristal.
People weren't talking about Cristal until Jay started doing it.
That's like the Rockefeller lifestyle. You see the logo, you see the record, and you see the bottle of champagne.
There was nothing acting about it. You know what I'm saying? That was just our lifestyle.
Everything's just party, party, party. But at the same time, we was partying, we was promoting Rockefeller.
We were all a crew, and we all want the same thing. We all want Jay to blow.
He had a lot of songs recorded with Dead Presidents, was like the one that everybody liked. He was just like, all right, let me just put this out.
Got the city drinking Cristals, we up the feet. Players going broke, trying to keep up with me.
We were just trying to get a buzz in the street and doing everything ourselves.
At that time, there wasn't no strategy, man. It was just straight guerrilla pimp.
You hit all the DJs, you hit all the stores.
We had a street team.
Everyone with backpacks going and handing out flyers.
Put up the posters.
Jay-Z, Dame Dash, Big, selling records out the trunk of their car.
We had our street team driving the Benz.
You just chase the street. You keep letting people know that this guy is it.
It's part of the hustle of being an independent, record company.
They pushed that record real hard as they could do it.
He was doing everything he could, but he didn't know how to get his records on the radio.
It was definitely a time where we need to somehow figure out how we can take this to another level.
Jay was like, they won't give my records the light of day. Rockefeller, he had a lot of money, but they just didn't have the radio politics.
So our next step was like, okay, how can we get their presence on Hot 97?
New York's #1 station, Hot 97.
Back then, getting on Hot 97 was a hard thing to do unless you was, a very major label.
You know, they won't play your joints on Hot 97. It would not. I'm saying that they won't play your joints on like regular radio. You got to go underground.
Oh yeah, well, I'm not really with that mainstream thing.
We used to just call Funkmaster Flex and request the records.
Flex was the DJ at that time. He was the man on Hot 97.
Irv Gotti. He was like, I'm telling you, Flex, this record is hot. The first time I got the record, I played it like 8 times in a row.
So that was the first time we got on the radio. And we were like, yes, finally got radio.
Then we had a B-side, which changed Jay-Z's career. Once that song dropped and it broke, it was like a rock.
Everybody loved it. In the club, they just made all the DJs play it, play it, play it.
The video got into heavy rotations on MTV.
It ended up being on a Nutty Professor soundtrack.
That's when Jay-Z, national star, was born.
Everybody was just waiting for him to do the record. They was like, yo, when you gonna do a record? It was a big expectation for Jay's album.
We all did the album at D&D Studios.
He was getting producers to do records for absolutely nothing because he was that good.
He doesn't write no rhymes down.
He listens to the beat and he writes the rhymes in his mind.
Jay will hop from room to room and just knock him out.
That's where we recorded Brooklyn's Finest.
I was in a studio with Big and I played the beat for Brooklyn's Finest by accident. Big heard the beat and ran approximately 100 feet top speed and said, "Is that for me?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm sorry, this is for Jay." He goes, "Yo, man, let me get on that record, right?" So I'm like, "Come with me."
Biggie was our hero, you know what I'm saying? You know, being from Brooklyn and all. Jay and Big, they went to school together, so they kind of had a relationship already. So I guess it was just meant to happen.
The first time Biggie was there, I remember Jay asked for a pad. He was like, gave it to Biggie, and Biggie was like, "What's that for?" He's like, "So you can write." He was like, "Nah, I don't write." He's like, "You don't write neither?" He's like, "Nah." And that's when they found out that both of them didn't write.
That day, that was the beginning of everything. That's when him and Big became friends, and it was on from that point on.
Jay loved Biggie. You know, I never really seen Jay embrace nobody like that, like no other rapper. Like, really nobody.
They became, like, real tight, because they used to call each other all the time, be around each other. Like, we did shows together.
Them two together wanted to be the #1 rappers. They had conversations on, we are going to smash everybody.
Biggie was on his ascent, and Jay didn't even have a setup. Like, no one even knew this record was coming out, and then boom, Big is on it.
Major Corn. Rockefeller forever, y'all.
It was crazy. I mean, when the album dropped, everybody had it. I mean, it was selling like hotcakes.
Every car had it. Every little kid had it. So that's when you saw, like, okay, the world's catching up to him.
Let's do it again.
People finally said, "Oh, this is for real."
Okay, all right, big man, you want to make some big bucks, huh? Let's get up you are.
It was really like him, his introduction, really explaining who he was, what he'd been through.
Reasonable Doubt portrayed a hustler who was getting a lot of money, who was trying to get out the game.
Sold it all from crack to OPM.
MCs had definitely touched, you know, on hustling, but Jay talked about what it can do to a person's inner peace and what it can do to their mind.
It was so simple to believe him, like, because he was that vivid and his picture was painted so perfectly.
Everybody thought he was like the lyricist of the future.
Rockefeller was totally focused on winning. That was right up our alley.
New York actually offered us the first good deal with the right money, so we ended up at Def Jam.
He's not signed to Def Jam as an artist. They have a partnership.
Get it right, I'm controlling the game.
And by him just holding on to his own stuff, it definitely gave him more power.
Unfortunately, I was during the time where Big passed away.
It affected them heavy because they was so close.
You got one of the greatest MCs that's no longer with us, you know, so now it's like somebody got to step up.
Jay had the pressure of feeling that he had to take over what Big started, or he had to claim that I'm the guy now.
People wanted Jay-Z to fill those shoes immediately the second Biggie died.
That's why I think it was so gloomy at that time. It was like, Jay, you don't want to fill those shoes, but it's like he had no choice. That's when he did In My Lifetime Volume 1, so he wasn't in his greatest spirit.
On top of that, we was in a little craze in hip-hop where everything had to be like puffy and, you know, wear silver suits.
Bad Boy, Puff was controlling the airwaves.
They were making incredible records, and they were making people dance, and they were making white America say, rap is all right.
Jay figured, like, hey, let me just do a record like everybody else is doing. If it worked, then they'll hear everything else that I'm trying to bring out.
He just wanted to be bigger, and he felt going with Diddy and that whole bad boy sound was gonna be bigger.
At the time, everybody was making R&B type sounding records with R&B people on the hook.
That's why they chose Babyface to do a song.
Babyface didn't equate to rap. He equated to smooth R&B.
And then Ike Williams did the video. His Sunshine video. It was just colorful.
We were like wearing suits and some clownness and circus, but you know, his name is Hype, so he hyped us up to do it.
He put the fish lens on Jay, and yeah, Jay looking like Joe the Camel, man.
You deserve to be my sunshine.
Not a good look.
That was not good. Oh, that wasn't good. Yeah, it wasn't good.
It was too commercial.
Jay hated that video was being played so much. He didn't want people to think that I'm this crossover pop selling out rapper.
It just didn't hit the expectations.
Not me.
It wasn't us.
Well, Lifetime Volume 1 definitely kept Jay out there as one of the best lyricists, but people in the street kind of took it more of a commercial attempt.
I remember a kid in the street saying to me, "Oh man, he got to come better than that. You know, Biggie's not here."
They grounded him definitely because he was riding an untouchable wave with Reasonable Doubt. It's like when he came out with Vine, they was like, "Oh, maybe you ain't that ill."
I didn't think with that album that he had a shot for the crown.
After the Sunshine video, Jay-Z needed to change that image really fast.
In My Lifetime Volume 1 was actually a very good album, but people wanted more from Jay-Z. He was like, okay, no problem. Streets is watching.
Streets is watching.
So Streets is Watching was going to be a series of videos, almost like a video album. Uncut, uncensored, straight to the point, Brooklyn, hardcore.
Def Jam would not do Streets is Watching.
So me and Jay put up our own money.
Just going to shoot it and keep everything raw and real. Keep it street.
Did one video in a strip club, one video hustling in a small town in Jersey somewhere.
I remember seeing Jay-Z coming out the hotel and he had the hat cocked to the side.
The pictures that you already knew about Jay just came to life for you.
That was like ultimate hip-hop. Totally block out everybody's memory of Sunshine. That definitely gave me a sense of his street cred.
Once we put our Streets in Watching, Streets embraced us right back again.
People knew, like, hey, he's not that crossover rapper.
Everybody wanted to get that Streets Was Watching tape. Everybody watched it. Everybody wanted a copy of it.
It was like a ghetto smash. It made them ghetto superstars.
After Streets Was Watching, we went on a Puff Daddy tour.
And I thought that was like the best thing. I was like, yeah, like y'all going out with Puffy? Oh, this is going to be so big.
They had this big production and people were flying and Puff had people doing a wave and all these suits. And we just got on there with our bulletproof vests, did like a small set and just kept it real gutter.
We printed up these jackets. I guess we felt like rock stars. But a lot of things was going bad on the tour.
Sometimes we have dressing rooms, like in bathrooms. They'd be split in half, like, you know, Usher one side, us on the other side.
We were like trying to fight to get extra bag of Doritos in our dressing room.
They were shortening our time.
We would come out, you know, the venue wouldn't be filled.
It's like, yo, why are we here?
Halfway through the tour, Jay just like left the tour. We got to New York, I was like, I'm done. But while we were on the tour, we heard the beat for Hard Knock Life.
Big Capri was DJing.
Kid was opening up for the Puff Daddy tour. He played Hard Knock Life at the beginning of all the shows.
It was so catchy. Everybody was jamming to it.
I was like, oh. And Jay was like, oh.
Baby.
So I went and called 45 King. I was like, I'll give you 10,000 cash tomorrow for that beat. I got him that money. You know what I mean? We got him that money.
I brought the tape to the studio. He laid down the vocals one time. He did it in one take.
We knew. He laid the rhyme. We was like, it's a rap.
I'm from the school of the hard knock.
It appealed to everybody, like to the suburbs, to the streets. Even though it was Annie, it just felt like a street anthem.
It was this popcorny thing, but it personified what we go through in the hood. Steady kisses, get it. But that's it. That's Marcy. That's the hood. That's us.
All of a sudden, that record hit the streets, and boom, that thing just skyrocketed.
He had that same vibe with that whole album. And I was like, you know, we got 4 records that are hot. Yeah, It's Alright.
It's alright.
Money ain't a thing.
Money ain't a thing.
Hard Knock Life. Can I get it?
All those records led up to the Hard Knock Life album.
Jay came out #1, stood #1 for like 5 weeks.
It sold over 5 million albums.
You never think you'll sell 500,000, never think you'll sell 100,000. And let alone sell 5 million records, that's like unbelievable.
Hard Knock Life was a turning point in terms of people knowing about him.
That's when the audience changed from all do-rags and blunt smokers and, you know, drug dealers.
White America went and bought it.
Hard Knock Life wins him the Grammy, wins him the MTV Award.
Jay-Z featuring Sharon and
It wasn't like any type of hip-hop he was hearing at the time. It's like the world just opened up to him.
David, Jace, and Biggs sit down and talk. We need to do our own tour.
And at that time, it was very hard to do a tour with that much hardcore rap.
So many people had said that it was never going to work. It was the first tour of its kind, all hip-hop headliners. There was no R&B.
I was like, if we're going to go out, we're going to go out, you know, stake some kind of precedent for the culture and open some doors. If we're going to go out, we're going to go out, you know, stake some kind of precedent for the culture and open some doors.
We're going out every night, and I mean, arena is packed.
I was just amazed. I actually see people screaming, girls fainting, and I love you, Jay-Z, I love you. And I'm just looking at them, and I'm like, wow, he makes people feel good. Like, and that was amazing to me.
She put on a bigger tour than Puff did. It was unprecedented.
There was no incidents of violence. We sold out almost every show. So that alone opened eyes and opened doors for a lot of other hardcore hip-hop artists.
They said it could never happen. Too much happening. What's the last show? Thanks for coming out tonight. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. I appreciate that.
Jay and Dame and Biggs really changed the game. They set a different standard in hip-hop.
We always just knocked down doors for the culture and community. We did the tour ourselves. We put together the company ourselves. We did Rockwear ourselves.
That's the anthem. Get your damn hands up.
Jay living proof of what you could become. That all people from the ghetto do have a chance.
The main lesson is not to give up. Don't give up. What you wish for may come true.
I do this for my culture, to let them know what it look like when it's in a roaster.
Jay-Z will never be a number 10 or 11 rapper. He will never allow himself to fall to the bottom of the pile.
It's just in his blood. He cannot lose. He cannot lose.
Anything he does, he wants to be #1 at. It's not like I think I'm #1 and I'll try to pretend I'm #1. It's I am #1.
Fresher than the next bitch. No need for you to ever sweat the next bitch. With speed, I make the best bitch see the exit. Indeed, you gotta know you're thoroughly respected. By me, you get the keys to the Lexus.
I wake up in the morning praying, then I grab the banger. You niggas wake up in the morning, then you start complaining. Respect the nigga hustle though. Respect the nigga hustle though. I'm taking risks, I'm steady moving work from state to state. You steady sitting on your ass and eating off the plate. Respect the nigga hustle though. Respect the nigga hustle though. Niggas that's talking shit is just another form of hating. We put it on the scale and bag it, ain't no point in waiting. If you got bitch all in your blood, it ain't no point in faking. And if you gotta throw her money, ain't no point in caking. Yeah, them lame niggas, they done fell off. Grinding till I die so that my daughter can be well off. Snitches should be authors since they like to go and tell off. But I continue grinding on my product till I sell off. Don't sell out, fuck that, not me. I re-up, blow loud, too strong, cocky. Niggas tryna steal a nigga swagger, but they not me. Niggas telling like they getting paid, but it's all free. So it's on me, ride out, it's my turn. Niggas putting burners to my face for shit that I earned, damn. But I continue having love for my city, and every time I'm out, they showing love when they see me. I wake up in the morning praying, then I grab the banger. You niggas wake up in the morning, then you start complaining. Respect the nigga hustle though. Respect the nigga hustle though. I'm taking risks, I'm steady moving, work from state to state. You steady sitting on your ass and eating off the plate. Respect the nigga hustle though. Respect the nigga hustle though.
Hey yo, niggas don't want no beef, I let the 40 pop. Then beat your ass like the game did the 40 Glock. Last night on 7 Mile I heard 40 shots. And my niggas getting money off of 40 blocks. Get 40 spots to a piece, so that's 80 stout. Niggas moving work shit like it's 80s now. See my Adidas gold chain swinging. Fuck your bitch, me and my man's teamed up. I'm in the land and she puts the beamer. Red Snapple on the candy apple. Red bottles just to show she got them. I said I've been around the world, you see me glow trotting. And my bitch, she be the shit, that's why she sport rotten. I'm the man and I hear you plotting. Schemes, they ain't stopping shit. My whole team real ain't dealing with you counterfeits. I'm counting money while you counting when I'm counting. You wanna know the numbers, you should check with my account, nigga.
I wake up in the morning praying, then I grab the banger. You niggas wake up in the morning, then you start complaining. Respect the nigga hustle though. Respect the nigga hustle though. I'm taking risks, I'm steady moving, work from state to state. You steady sitting on your ass and eating off the plate. Respect the nigga hustle though. Respect the nigga hustle though.
Every day I go to work, my nigga, I gotta get it. And I don't just work, I push it to city limits, yeah.
Respect the nigga hustle though.
Yeah. You gotta use your muscle, bro. Cause in these streets, niggas playing for keeps. And if you brought up sweet, then they playing you cheap. See, all I got is respect. And fools on deck. So if a nigga get fly, we put his ass on the jet. Niggas think they see me now, they ain't seen me yet. Until I pull up, and that paint still wet. That mean my dank still lit. That mean I'm smoking some key shit. That mean I'm blowing some reefer. That mean I'm fucking the diva. See, niggas think I'm timid cause I stay with a bitch. And I keep a lot of money like I play with a brick. Yeah.
Respect the nigga hustle though.
You gotta get your money, bro.
I wake up in the morning praying, then I grab the banger. You niggas wake up in the morning, then you start complaining. Respect the nigga hustle though. Respect the nigga hustle though. I'm taking risks, I'm steady moving, work from state to state. You steady sitting on your ass and eating off the plate. Respect the nigga hustle though. Respect the nigga hustle though.